Hey.
And here we are.
Oh, hey.
That was a little longer than it needed to be, but
A little bit.
we made it in the end.
Yeah, we're here.
Sure, a little hiccup there, but now we're here.
We're here.
That's right. We got some stuff.
There's some things.
There's some things
There's always
that have
things.
happened.
There's always things.
Very interesting things.
And we would always say that there were interesting things, even if they weren't necessarily interesting.
Yeah, so we're not really trustworthy,
No, we're
I
not.
guess.
But we assure you, this time we're not lying.
That's
These are
right.
interesting things.
That's right.
If it's okay, we have to preface if it's true. I mean, there is a chance
Well,
it isn't true.
I suppose
Very,
some of them.
it's very, very unlikely, I think, but that's my opinion.
Yes.
But I don't want to. I don't want to get caught in the boat, sink the boat of this is 100%
Right.
true, and then verifiably it isn't. But
Right.
anyways, okay.
So to take it off, or yeah, to kick this off, we got this article here. Project Veritas coming out with a brand new expose. A Pfizer director talking about directed evolution. Sounds just like gain of function research
Yeah.
to I don't know, preemptively prepare for vaccines.
Yeah.
That now you can't have at the same day as your flu shot because that increases your chance of a stroke.
Yeah, it's like a fancy word for it's like a housewife.
Well, it's
Call him a domestic engineer. It's the fancy word for gain of function.
Gain of function is illegal, so we do directed evolution.
Direct it. Yeah, exactly. We just direct it where it's supposed to go.
Yeah. So according to the headline here, the Pfizer says they mutate COVID via directed evolution for company to continue profiting off of vaccines. COVID is going to be a cash cow for us. That is not what we say to the public. People won't like that. Don't tell anyone. Yeah.
That's it in a nutshell, right there.
Yeah, basically.
So so we've watched excerpts from the video. So it appears this he's talking to a guy. So
yeah, he's on a date.
He's on a date. Yeah.
We can probably play this video here. Let's see.
Pfizer ultimately is thinking about.
It's 10 minutes long.
Yeah, maybe
we'll just go through the article instead. But these bullet points at the top probably sum it up very nicely. Jordan Tristan Walker, Pfizer Director of Research and Development, Strategic Operations, mRNA Scientific Planner. One of the things we're exploring is why didn't we just mutate it ourselves so we could preemptively develop new vaccines, right? So we have to do that. If we're going to do that, though, there's a risk of as you could imagine, no one wants to be having a pharma company mutating effing viruses. Yeah, so they're doing it. They know what they're doing is fucked up.
Yeah.
They're doing it anyway because money,
Right. Well, I mean, it's not really a surprise for me anyway. I would have assumed they were doing this kind of stuff anyway. I mean, how would you have a vaccine so fast?
Well, I would have assumed they were just making something and pushing it out because they could sell it.
Yeah.
And does it work? Does it not work? We don't care. We could get people to buy it.
It screams the same thing for me as
yeah. But it sounds like too they're not just doing it in the lab. They're doing it in a way it's okay, here's a new variant.
Yeah.
So we can make a vaccine for it. In the meantime, we're just gonna put that out in the public so that it's a thing.
Yeah.
That's almost what this sounds like.
Well, it sounds exactly to me like virus companies for your computer viruses, like antivirus companies. I mean, releasing viruses so that they can sell their product.
Yeah.
Right. And there's evidence to show that McAfee was doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And probably all the other companies were doing it. I mean, it makes sense if you want to keep your antivirus software relevant.
Yeah.
And not to say that it wouldn't be anyway, because I'm sure there's nefarious individuals out there that want to create viruses and hack your systems and all that shit.
Yeah, no, that's the vast majority of it.
But if you can put a virus,
how your antivirus software is stopping the virus.
Well, exactly.
So you know how to work around.
That's what I mean.
Or you know how to leave that back door open, so that you could fix it later.
Right. But it's a lot harder for me. If you create a virus and I have to now I have to get that virus. I have to reverse engineer it, figure out what it's doing, how it's affecting the system, and then develop a patch or whatever they do to fix it. It's a lot easier if I already know all that,
Mhm.
and I already have it sitting here. I'm like, okay, it's like giving a head start. Here, give the virus a head start,
Yeah.
and then antivirus.
Yeah.
You know,
Basically.
yeah. So this has all those markers for me.
Yeah.
It just seems like it would be a pretty smart thing for them to do, as far as like
especially since they could just keep capitalizing
on a business
Yeah.
thing. Obviously, unethical and
Oh
immoral.
yeah, no. If the goal, ethics aside, is to make money, yeah,
Right.
that's a good idea.
Absolutely.
But this guy says, "Don't tell anyone. Promise you won't tell anyone." The way it would work is that we put the virus in monkeys and we successfully cause them to keep infecting each other, and we collect serial samples from them. You have to be very controlled to make sure that the virus that you mutate. By the way, just so everyone's clear, these are quotes from the guy.
Yeah.
You have to be very controlled to make sure that this virus that you mutate doesn't create something that just goes everywhere, which I suspect is the way that the virus started in Wuhan. To be honest, it makes no sense that the virus popped out of nowhere. It's bullshit. From what I've heard, Pfizer scientists are optimizing it, the mutation process, but they're going to they're going slow because everyone is very cautious. Obviously, they don't want to accelerate it too much. I think they're also just trying to do it as an exploratory thing because you obviously don't want to advertise that you are figuring out the future mutations. Now, did you see the parts of the video where he was like, when James O'Keefe came in and everything, and he was like freaking out? He
I
was
actually
like,
didn't see the end of the video.
he says, "I was lying.
We could play
I
that.
lied.
Let's
I
play
made
it.
it up." I don't know if we can necessarily find the right spot in the video, but let's see.
If you could skip.
Yeah.
They were not prepared for it, like with doubles, unquote. Yeah.
Function you're creating is to have huge would it be feasible?
Government's turning a blind eye and going. And
No. I feel like things like they don't want to advertise.
So maybe they didn't actually.
That's not the confrontation video. That's the
Right.
undercover video. Yeah. I'll do a quick look at their YouTube page.
Oh, that brings up a whole other thing.
Just to
Apparently,
see.
it's very hard to find some stuff under Google
Oh, yeah.
when you're searching this dude.
Well, they've erased this guy now,
Yeah.
which is crazy. Let's see. This is just...
I never thought that a project
Mark Dysart.
Oh, here we go.
and robbery.
Okay. Right. Here we go.
you work for Pfizer. My question for you is, why does Pfizer want to hide from the public the fact that they're mutating the COVID viruses?
Is this real life? I'm literally a liar. I was trying to impress a person on a date.
I'm literally a liar.
This is
Please
absurd.
don't touch me. Well, this is not. By the way,
Why are you doing
don't
this?
tell anybody.
To someone who's just working at a company to literally help the public.
So he's saying that they're not doing the kind of research that he said that they were doing, and that he was just lying to his date, trying to impress them about the creepy, weird, apocalyptic type of research that his company was doing. Okay, so he called the police, and the restaurant locked the door, which actually is a felony. That is false imprisonment. You're not allowed to prevent somebody from leaving a particular area. That is a crime. But that was just the first crime committed against Project Veritas. There's a difference between theft and robbery. Robbery is theft that...
There's interesting too. There's video later on. It doesn't look like he talks about it in this, where so James O'Keefe had already left, and there was one of their cameramen still there when the cops showed up, and the guy showed the cops the video and asked them if this guy, the Pfizer guy, would have been arrested if James O'Keefe was still there, and the cop was like, "Yeah, if he was still around, we would have arrested this guy because he committed a bunch of crimes."
That also includes violence. And that violence doesn't even have to cause injury. So him literally just shoving somebody and then stealing the iPad elevates it now to felony robbery. Okay, there he did it again. There's the bodyguard, the cameraman. That was
The camera ain't gonna
self-defense. Adding to the
shove.
hilarity when the criminal was on
Yeah.
the phone calling the police on Project Veritas. Really, in a sense himself, he also conveyed that he was concerned that there wasn't enough diversity amongst the Project Veritas camera crew.
Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait.
There's 4, 1,
White
2, 3,
people.
4, 5.
That probably gets the point across. This
Yeah.
guy's a lunatic.
But what's crazy is he's not a stupid guy.
No, he knows he fucked up, so he's trying
Yeah.
to pretend like
It's funny
They're
how
lying.
people will go rabid
yeah,
when, like, you imagine the fear that stoked in him.
he's backed into a corner.
He's like right away. He's like,
He knows he
"Oh, I
fucked
fucked
up. Someone
up."
put up like what he's admitting to is like international incident level crime and corruption
Yeah.
being committed by Pfizer, and he knows this, and he knows that his career is over.
I actually kind of feel sorry for him because he
Yeah.
might even have, like, he's probably going to jail.
Maybe.
Like, for one, I don't know what they would get him with, but he's probably signed some kind of NDA or,
Yeah, I don't know that those kinds of NDAs though can end you up in jail. They probably like fine you to no end, but
I mean, that's defamation if he can't prove it. It's
Well-
defamation of the company, essentially. You know what I mean? They could get him for like all kinds of monetary damages because they could say that what he was saying.
yeah, but if that
Irreparably
did,
damage the
if that
company's
did go to
reputation.
trial, he doesn't necessarily have to prove it in the trial. Pfizer would be subpoenas for documents and information on what they work on, what he
I don't know, man.
was involved with.
I wouldn't be surprised, and considering,
I wouldn't be surprised
how-
if he's already dead.
well, considering how big,
Talking about the level of corruption.
yeah,
here,
considering
like-
how big this is, like considering the companies that you're talking about here, this isn't baby games, man.
billions of dollars,
I
billions
can't
of
believe
dollars.
somebody would be so stupid to be talking about shit like that.
Yeah, well, he knew. There's footage of him from like the date where he's talking about like, why are you asking me these questions? Like, like, are you recording me? Like, am I being recorded right now? And he like kind of mentions Project Veritas. It's like this is reminding me of like that conservative group that records people undercover. So it's like,
Oh, he foresaw it too, eh?
yeah,
Oh, that's
Yeah.
sickening. I feel sorry for him. I honestly feel sorry for him. Like, at a visceral level, I feel sorry for him because
Yeah.
that is gotta be. Can you imagine? I couldn't imagine.
no,
Like, you just fucked up. It's like, he's thinking with his dick, literally,
yeah.
trying to
Well-
impress this dude.
It suggests that they within the company talk about this openly.
Probably.
And they're probably just like nonchalant about it. Like
Yeah.
for him to be willing to bring it up like that on a date.
He's
to try
pretty high
and
up too,
impress
though.
somebody.
So I'm sure the level of people that he's talking to in the company,
yeah.
they're nonchalant. As you get higher up,
It's
in every
probably-
company,
that's
they all
probably
talk
the
like that.
case. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all just like it's all open.
That's just that's how it's going, right?
yeah,
It's all
exactly.
about our bottom line.
Yeah, right. They don't give a fuck. It's
Yeah.
like I've had candid conversations at decently high levels in companies, and
Yeah.
it's like, yep, you go. The employees don't know this shit.
Yeah.
There's anybody else. Like, this is very candid shit.
Yeah. That's also a really good transition
Yeah.
into this next thing, because I took this article and I pasted it into ChatGPT right here. And people have been complaining about ChatGPT's
Explain
ideological bias.
ChatGPT just quickly, because I think still I've said it to people, and a lot of people don't even know what it is.
And normals don't know it. It's AI.
Yeah,
Really
it's-
good AI.
and it's Google run, right?
OpenAI, I think, is not actually owned by Google. I thought it was owned by Google, but it turns out Microsoft owns like a third of it. So I think it's its own thing. But it's like I don't know how to describe it exactly. It's AI, but like
The
it's
inception
like
of
it's
AI.
good AI. Like for the first time, we have like really good AI that can be convincing and do crazy things. One of the things it's good at is summarizing text or like, giving it in certain formats or simplifying it or whatever. So I pasted this article into the ChatGPT thing and asked it to make a bullet point list, simplifying it and just explaining all the points in the article. And I asked it to add quotes. It doesn't really matter exactly what I asked it because it gave this response. I'm sorry, but the information you provided is not true and appears to be a hoax. Pfizer, like all pharmaceutical companies, is committed to rigorous and ethical scientific research. They do not engage in the kind of an unethical and dangerous experimentation described in this fabricated story. Additionally, the organization, Project Veritas, is known for spreading false information and has been widely discredited by mainstream media outlets. I recommend that you verify the credibility of the sources before sharing the information. Now, it's funny that it says discredited by mainstream media because I feel like that's the same thing as saying credited,
Pretty much,
like
yeah.
proven to be right. 'Cause at
Yeah,
this point, with the mainstream media, it's kind of like opposites. It's like,
yeah,
well, if the people spreading fake news are telling you that you're spreading, it's like a double negative. You're probably true.
yeah. But I love how it like it.
It
Well,
refuses to do the point. Like a lot of times, it will give you a it does the thing that you ask it to do, but then it gives it like the little disclaimer, like, "Ah, this is a very complicated thing. I'd recommend learning more about the topic." Blah blah blah. But it'll still do what you asked it to do.
yeah.
And but in this case, it doesn't.
That's fallen all over itself to discredit it. You just look
Yeah.
at the wording.
Yeah,
It appears to be a hoax. Pfizer, like all pharmaceutical companies, is committed to rigorous and ethical science.
something we know isn't true by
outta here.
lawsuits and things that have
Like,
come
oh,
out recently.
really? Really?
What was that family that was responsible for the opioid crisis? That now
Oh,
one of these
yeah.
companies, Pfizer was one of the companies that had to pay for that.
Yeah.
Like so,
There's been a lot of those kinds of
yeah.
things. So there's just as much or more.
So this is
information
terrifying
showing.
because this, like, ChatGPT is going to be the next version of Google because it already can give you, the way you use Google is you do a Google search and it provides you with a bunch of sources that it's very good at providing you sources that are going to answer your question, but also the more complex your question gets, the harder it is to find the solution. You kind of have to simplify it and maybe do multiple searches. And it's good. It's awesome. But ChatGPT will answer the nuances of your question for you. Like it can write code and things. So one thing, like if you want to write even a mildly complicated program, like beginner level, but still kind of complex beyond the basic commands, you might have a hard time finding out how to do that on Google. Like you might have to be like, okay, well, here's a forum, and I'm gonna have to ask a real person. But with ChatGPT, it will write a program for you in whichever programming language you want it. But then also, so if you're using it to say learn programming, you can ask it to write the program and then ask it to break down what each line of code is doing. Like, and it can explain this all for you. Or if you just want to know how to approach solving a problem, it can give you these things. Like, so it's just significantly better in terms of the detail of the responses that you're going to get than Google ever will be. So at a certain point, I think it'll just be integrated into Google. Google they'll pony up some cash and it'll be integrated, and so you'll have your search results and you have your ChatGPT answer.
Yeah. Which is crazy though, because then it's like, how do you trust anything as far as truth or
Yeah.
like it's. And now when you start talking about people saying this is my truth, this is my personal truth, or this, like,
Yeah, and now with stuff like this, where it's obviously pre-programmed to do this, because you place any other article and ask it to do that, it's going to, like, it's just going to do what you asked it.
Yeah.
It's going to give you a bullet point list,
right?
include the quotes and whatever, make it in however much detail as you want.
Yeah.
But this, it won't even do that.
It's just controlling your narrative at this point now. It's like, that's not what I asked you. I didn't ask you to tell me whether this is true or not.
Exactly.
I just asked you to do a simple thing.
I think it's perfectly acceptable the way that it handles other things, where it gives you that text at the bottom where it like discloses it.
Yeah.
Like, I might be able to give an example of it if I just asked you to do something slightly complicated. Like,
Have you asked it before in a different chat that you've already got saved?
maybe I was asking it about creating AI trading bot. Log in again. Hold on, I'm gonna
I was gonna say,
hide this
let's hide that information.
Okay, let's get logged in here.
Let's just have everybody see all the information.
Okay. I don't want to save it. Okay, there's no code here, but okay, flip over. I didn't write any code in this particular example, but you can see. It is worth mentioning that the task is complex and it might be challenging to achieve it if you don't have a deep understanding of financial markets, machine learning, and programming. This is asking it if it's capable of
Right.
making an AI trading bot or helping to do that. And then down here, it's important to keep in mind that the list above is not exhaustive and it's always recommended to check the specific policies and guidelines of the broker you're interested in before setting up. So, like, it gives a reasonable disclaimer for things when when it's a complicated thing, or it's like, hey, yeah, maybe, like, I can do this for you, but it's a complicated task, and so, like, you might need to do things for it, and if you don't understand the things that are at play. Now, what's cool about it, though, is it can do a very good job explaining a lot of these things for you.
Yeah.
You can ask it to break down, like, at one point I asked it to give me a bunch of steps needed to do a thing, and then I asked it, okay, can you, like, break down, like, step 1? And it'll do that. And so it can really break it down into as small chunks as you need it to be for you to tackle the problem as a whole.
Yeah.
Which, again, is fucking next level functionality for, like, learning things and actually getting something done.
Can you imagine later it'd be like, you'll ask it, how do you build a mini power generator or something like that?
Mhm.
Sorry, we can't give you that information.
That
You're not allowed to have that
Could very
information.
well be. The only hope that I have is that ChatGPT will be able to describe to people how to make their own version of ChatGPT, and at a certain point, it'll just be there will be alternative versions that aren't censored.
I think it's probably they probably wouldn't allow that.
They probably won't,
They'd
right?
probably put some kind of block. It would be like if you asked it,
And then you get banned.
maybe if
You
you
can get
asked it
banned.
how to enrich uranium or something like that, it might just be like,
Yeah.
we don't have the answer to
I
that.
won't give you that information.
Like I'm sure there'll be different things. Maybe if you said, how would you build a gun?
Yeah.
It might say, no, this is a dangerous
Yeah.
thing, and which
Or hopefully, like, I
which
mean,
I'm not
with
I'm opposed to
everything
that
though,
stuff.
with everything comes alternatives.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, at first, building anything, like, say building a computer at first is just something like you can't do that. Like, okay, that university
okay
built
with
a
it.
working computer,
Yeah.
but at a certain point, it's like, okay, now that guy across the street can build a computer because it's known, and you can.
I'm actually okay with that. I'm okay with it saying no. Like that. So it's. I would liken it to like a parent and a child. Child asks you a question. Child said, "Hey, let's say it's a 7-year-old child or something. What's a blowjob?" You're like, you don't want to answer that question, right?
Yeah,
Because there's no good answer to that question
there's a
for a
hard line there.
7-year-old's
I
mind.
am against it.
What I'm saying though is a good answer to the child would be to say something of this thing. Say, look, listen, that's a bit of an adult thing. I really don't want to
Mm-hmm.
talk about that. I don't think you should be learning that yet. Maybe later type thing or something like that. So if the chat GPT said, look, we're not going to disclose information, I'm fine with that. That's fine. Then you know the limitations of the program, what it's going to disclose and stuff. But when it says to you, when it starts to tell you this is a hoax or this is false,
This is not
now
true.
you're telling me an
When
answer
it
to something
doesn't know, and you
that
know
don't
it doesn't know.
exactly.
Yeah.
No, so you're just creating a narrative.
Yeah, I'm
Now,
against
how do I
that,
trust
though.
any of the whole fucking
I'm against
process?
that for the same reason that I'm against the death penalty. It's
What?
like
Against what?
the death penalty.
Oh, what are you against?
The AI saying no for certain things. Like, obviously, we can sit here and agree. Okay, maybe it shouldn't describe how to build a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
But who gets to decide that? Who gets to decide where the line is? And I don't think anybody's ever going to be good enough to where it's comfortable. Where it's like, okay, they're not going to abuse this. They're not going to add things that they really shouldn't be adding. Like, this is a degree that they really shouldn't be doing.
I kind of agree with you, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, there has to be a line somewhere. there has to be a line. It's like
I'm just more about complete freedom.
Because if you do, then you put it in the hands of the worst people
Mhm.
that will do the
things
worst
are
things.
already like that, though.
I know, but now you take something that's powerful and you give everyone access to it. That's a bit scary. That's like that used to be like, hey, here's this governmental building. When you walk in the door, here's 7 AR-15s lined up, all loaded, and ready to go. Yeah, most people aren't going to use them. Most people are going to go, no, I'm not using that. I mean, it's there, but I'm not going to use it. But you'll have
But if they're all over the place in the building, no one's going to use them at all ever, because they're going to. It's for one, it's a death wish, and two, they got to
but
find.
some don't care.
They got to find.
Some
Well,
people
if
don't care about death wish.
they care about doing a certain degree of damage that they know
Yeah.
that they're not going to be able to do
Yeah.
with that particular method, so they'll
Yeah.
have to adapt.
But if you're using like the nuclear weapon, for example, I mean, that would be something that someone like, let's say, like a suicide bomber or somebody who had nothing to lose, if they could get their hands on even a small grade one of some sort, and they could do that. And
The thing is that they already can. You can buy nuclear weapons on the black market. Like, they're not cheap necessarily, but it is available to like certain groups. Like the Taliban could get a hold of nuclear weapons if they really want to, and really, who to say that they haven't, but if they have it, I would say that the only reason that they haven't is probably because there are other government groups like the US that are kind of monitoring them, and that like just make it impossible for them to do that.
What about patent technology, patents and stuff? So if I create something and I have the recipe for making it, should that be open source for everybody?
Well, maybe not the recipe.
What do you mean? I'm saying,
but if you have a patent for a car and I buy that car and I take it apart, I can build that car for you. Like, I agree that there should be legal parameters that I can't build that car and sell it.
Yeah.
But like, you can't hide that information for somebody who wants it.
Yeah, but I mean, something like, so we're talking about something like a nuclear.
Yeah.
I just think there has to be things that are like sort of on the list that are, that are just no-nos. It's like, nah, that's just a bridge too far.
Yeah, but it's never going to be. There's never going to be someone who could police that. I don't think there's no one that we could trust.
Well, countries do, to some degree, obviously, right?
Will they police what? Like, because we have a lot of tyrannical countries.
I'm saying the ability to have nuclear weapons.
Well, from individuals, yeah.
Like they've been policing Iran for a while to make sure that they can't make it. Although they're
but North Korea
pretty sure
has
they're there.
nukes,
Pretty sure
and
they're
probably there, and many countries.
But I'm
have
saying,
them
but
at this
they've
point.
made it harder for them to do it, right? And by policing it, and a lot of smaller nations don't have them and have zero ability to get them.
Yeah, I don't
some of the
necessarily
small
know that that's a
African
good thing,
nations and
though.
things like that. It's funny. Yeah, I don't know. I get. I'm a libertarian too, right? So I see your point, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. There's just a couple things I think that you could find where I think you'd get a mass consensus to say, okay, no, let's leave that out of there. Let's leave that off the list of things that we talk about. And personally, I would be okay with that, because at least you're like, okay, I'm not allowed there. Whoever's the guardian or the gatekeeper is there, I'm not allowed there. But what I don't like is that gatekeeper telling me, no, you don't think this way. That's wrong. This is what you think. And you're gonna have so many people, just like they trust mainstream media and Google and these kinds of things. They're gonna trust this technology to say it's honest. Because they'll have like reference point to a ton of different things that they've asked it, and they're like, that's right. So you're like, why would I say this is wrong when everything else has been right? You know what I mean? That's where the nefarious part of this software, where it becomes evil, essentially, right?
Yeah, that's just why I think it's better to err on the side of total, complete free access to information rather than there's a slippery slope there.
No, I definitely I don't know how to I don't know how to parse that answer, because I agree with you, but I don't know. It's the same thing when you're talking about like abortion, things like that. Like
Yeah.
it's that same sort of thing where I know morally it's wrong, but I still want you to have that ability to be able to do it.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah. So I see what you're saying. I don't know. I don't know how to. I wouldn't know how to answer that question. I'm glad I don't have to make that distinction, right? But might be a sort of a good little. Not even a good segue. I don't think it's a good segue. It's actually an awful segue, probably, into our next little topic we want to talk about here. But I guess it is kind of because we're talking about information and sharing information, and they really kind of fucked with this one, didn't they?
Yeah. So they released the police footage from the Nancy Pelosi attack, so we could play that right now.
Yeah, definitely don't want all of you.
Is this all of it, like unfettered,
Hello.
unfiltered, essentially?
Well, it's only 1 minute and 42 seconds, so I don't know. They see the attack. It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that guy videoing?
That's a
2620, right?
No, the other guy over there. It looked like he was holding it there.
he might have
Yeah,
something,
literally said
or he's holding his radio.
Hi. How you doing? What's going on, man?
Everything's good.
Hi. Drop the hammer.
Nope. Hey.
What is going on
I'm
right
not getting an answer on call back.
Bro, oh shit.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a bit disturbing, eh?
Yeah.
I got him, Michael. Edward 14, Edward 10, back up, code 3.
Code 3 back up at 26.
Give me your fucking hand!
Units code
Give me your fucking hand!
44 hours for 14 hours.
Break that fucking hand.
I don't know.
You hit an old man with a hammer, you piece of shit.
It was why.
What's that?
It's like, why did
Yeah.
you do that?
Edward 14, Edward 10, medics, code 3 as well.
Is he like...
That's what it sounds
Wow, he's
Or
making like
it's
a gargling
Medical
sound.
three.
Affirmative.
Oops. So,
Oh, that was a little more disturbing than I expected. I didn't... No.
that's brutal, right?
Because anybody who's watching, if you
With
throw
news
a
in
fucking
recent
hammer,
weeks of repeated
you know what that feels like when it hits something.
Mm-hmm.
You hit the head of a nail, you hit anything.
Yeah,
You're like,
imagine it.
Imagine that fucking hitting your skull. And that's a full ass swing. He went right over top. Not like that was a half swing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a fan of the Pelosi's. You know, obviously, he's not talked about as much, obviously.
You know,
But-
the guy that did it, they haven't said anything about anything that he said, if he said anything.
We're not going to let him.
There's no
Why would they?
like reason why. So that you have the story. So
Yeah,
like,
there's-
why did he do that? Right?
I don't want that.
Probably because
No. This
there maybe there's a good reason for it.
this probably,
Like they're saying maybe it was like a drug deal gone wrong.
yeah.
Which I mean doesn't make it a good reason to hit him over the head with a hammer, but it's an explanation that paints the Pelosi's in pretty bad light.
Yeah. And so it's funny because when you see that video, it kind of answers a couple questions a little bit, or like creates other ones too. But
Yeah.
they said that he was smiling and blah, blah, blah. I don't really think so. He smiled, but it could have been like a nervous, awkward sort of smile.
Kind of looked like that.
Yeah. Like he had it might also be that he's welcoming the fact that the police are there too.
Yeah.
So there's a number of things that could have been going on there. That's not like a smoking gun for me. Oh, he smiled like as if he knows, buddy. I think it's either, like you said, a bad drug deal or maybe something sexual.
Yeah, something sexual, which again, that would be a legitimate reason to hit him if he was being held there against his will.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't.
It just doesn't make any sense. Like
Yeah.
the whole thing is weird.
And
Like
it
they
doesn't make
open the
any-
door standing there
And
together.
then he hits him?
Yeah, and the guy has the hammer. Like, why didn't he hit him earlier?
Right.
What was going on that he didn't hit him earlier?
Yeah.
And he does it in front of the cops
Yeah.
like that.
They answer the door. He's got the hammer in his hand. He's holding his hand with the hammer. Let's go answer the door together. It is bizarre.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make a lot of fucking sense. Unless,
With the hammer, he's not making any attempt to hide the
Yeah.
hammer.
yeah.
like, okay, go answer the door, and he like holds the hammer behind his back, or he steps around the corner while he answers, like, what the fuck? Or he answers the door.
Unless they're both just so fucked up.
Maybe.
And they were arguing, and Buddy's like, I'm going to hit you. And then he's like, no, don't. And they were kind of whatever. And then the door, I don't know. If you try and put yourself in a drunken state, that's all I can, because I've never been that fucked up on drugs to be that out of it. Okay, in a bad drunken state, all right, I don't know. Things don't make sense the same way, I suppose. But, I don't know. And nobody, like, Pelosi's not saying anything about it, like Nancy. She just apparently said that she didn't want to watch her husband get beat or something like that. Or, like, you still gotta fucking say something.
Maybe he was there because of her. Maybe she was sick of Paul's antics.
Yeah.
And it just kind of blew up like that. Like,
who knows, man? Like, that's... But there's so much shit.
It doesn't answer any questions.
Right, it just creates
doesn't
more.
answer any questions.
It just creates
There's
more.
So many questions.
Maybe
the
that was
media has had every angle.
Maybe that's the point, though. Maybe they released it now because they're like, hey, this is just going to throw more shit against the wall. But although, I don't know, like, it was kind of a dying story.
Yeah.
So I don't, so it doesn't make a lot of sense to release this now, unless you're trying to...
Unless there's like a protocol where, like, footage of an event like this is going to be released, but they don't do it right away. They clean it up, or they make sure certain things aren't in it or whatever.
That doesn't look cleaned up, though.
Well, it's a minute and 42 seconds,
True.
right? What if they
So
started
omitted some
filming
stuff.
earlier or later?
Or after, and then they ask him questions, and he starts saying things.
He starts saying why he did it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, they just say, oh, he did it because of this, or he did it because of that. Nobody is citing him. What is he saying? I just want to know what he has to say about it. Like, he could be lying. Who knows? But what is he saying his motive for doing that was?
Nancy Pelosi is, what, 80?
Old.
80 old. So she's 80 old.
Yeah.
He's got to be late 70s, early 80s
up
old.
there too, yeah.
Maybe they're just going to wait. Maybe they'll wait till the skin suit dries out,
till it dries out,
and the lizard people go back to the ship.
Internal, they go back
to the ship,
their home world.
Yeah, and then they tell us, and then they come back down as something else.
Yeah, someone else.
I don't know.
That's how lizard people reincarnate, because they live to be a couple thousand years old.
That'd be crazy if they do.
Yeah,
holy shit! Because I would think that lizards live less time.
I think they proportionally live longer, because they
I don't know.
Because they have a lower heart rate.
It's true.
And they don't move as much.
And they don't generate their own body heat, so they have to get it.
How long do
that's a curious thing to look up.
Like, how long does like a crocodile live for?
I'm gonna say 25 years on average. That's what I'm gonna say. If I'm right. Holy shit.
70 years, 50 to 60 years.
Wow.
And who's saying that lifespan isn't like they lose their teeth at some point or something, so they starve to death. So let's say in captivity. Well, captivity is different though, because then they get like depressed sometimes. 70 or more years. But yeah.
Huh. Okay. Well, the lizard people could be living for thousands of years.
Yeah. Maybe could.
Yeah. I don't wish death on anybody, to be honest. Well, yes, I do. It's very few people. But I don't wish death on Pelosi. I just want her to go away.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that she's not speaker anymore, so she's kind of gone away a little bit.
Maybe she just retires.
Yeah, just
takes all the money she made illegitimately enough.
And they can retire. They can't retire. They can't retire. How are they going to retire? How's she going to retire from power?
You know, that's one of the
That bitch has been in power for, like, what, the last 2 cycles of Congress.
Is it like it could be, it's not necessarily just the power that they want, but a kind of indentured servitude where like she has a certain amount of wealth because of deals she's made.
Yeah, and she has
and
to.
It is contingent on those deals that she is in office for a while.
Yeah.
And so she has to stay basically
you gotta
as
pay
long
back
as she
all
can
those people
until
back.
she gets like elected out, or
Yeah.
until she dies,
Yeah.
or else they're gonna come for her.
Yeah.
You know. So who knows?
We're gonna melt that skin suit off you. Lady.
Yeah. Who knows if it's about power or if it's about you've made some
Could be
deals.
the military industrial complex too,
Well,
keeping her there
well,
because she's a Democrat and she pushes
she
big
works on
spending.
behalf, yeah.
Yeah, which is a good segue into our next thing we want to talk about.
Next thing.
It's are we in World War III?
Oh yes, this right here.
You think it's
So-
begun?
So US and Germany are going to send almost 100 tanks to Ukraine. Canada might add a couple in there.
Yeah, we'd like to get our little bit here. We got something. It's like you're going to buy something and you got that guy. Oh, I get like 25 cents to add to it.
Yeah.
Aw, thanks, Pete.
Yeah, I think 2 tanks is what Canada might add. But it's like, yeah, I mean, how do you not call this a world war?
It is.
Several Western countries are contributing.
Yeah.
To one side.
Like you look at World War One and Two, there were a ton of countries that
US
abstained.
officials say things like the war in Ukraine is about stopping Russia.
Yeah.
And so it's like, so how do you call it not a conflict, like a war between these countries? And then with the amount of countries involved, how do you not call it a world conflict?
Yeah.
Like even China has interests.
Yep.
Who knows what they'll do, but
I mean, yeah, it's what's the tipping point that makes it a world war? Like I feel like you've got enough countries involved
no
now.
one else gets in, or
Well, they already are.
wide scale fighting
they're
breaks
there.
out.
It's like if two people are fighting, you and I are fighting, and somebody's handing me weapons.
Yeah, that person
They're in the
is
fight too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not a bystander. They're in the fucking
Yeah,
fight.
they're active.
Yeah, like you punch me and knock me over, and they pick me up and they dust me off. They give me a weapon.
Yeah.
They're fighting you too.
What's
Just because they're not fucking throwing punches and shit, they can be like, "Oh, this is a fair fight. It's two people fair." No, it's not a fucking fair fight.
I think it's the German tanks allegedly use a kind of bullet that has like enriched uranium casing or something like that. And Russia said that like if they use those, they're gonna count that as a nuclear strike. So it's just they're just like moving the goalposts and they're posturing nuclear war. It's like, yeah.
I don't think anybody. It's just posturing at this point. I don't think anybody's gonna throw a nuke. Like small guided ones and things like that, but not
Smaller tactical nukes, yeah.
tactical nukes. Like I don't think anybody's gonna drop a big one. That makes zero sense. The only way that kind of happens is if you
know
get,
you're out.
if you know
You're out, it's over.
Yeah.
You have no sense of self-preservation.
Yeah.
So you just do it.
But even then,
Who
it's
knows?
like, yeah, it would
Or
depend.
you think that you could just, you know, you hit DC or something and like get pretty much all of the politicians in the United States. Maybe you think that there's a good chance that that would end a conflict instead of escalating, instead of like a retaliatory strike, because now the leading class is dead in that country.
And this is what irritates me about it. What's the game? What's the end game? I understand what the end game is. Well, it's sort of understood what the end game is for Russia. They want Crimea.
They want
Crimea.
the Eastern Front.
Yeah, they want
of Ukraine.
Crimea back, and they want.
They already have Crimea.
Did they take it back?
They took it.
I thought they
years
gave it up
ago.
in 2013 or something like that.
No, it's been Russian territory since they invaded and took it. As far as
I think
I'm
it
aware.
changed. It changed hands in 2013 or something.
I don't know if that happened.
Anyways, but okay. All right, look it up. Yeah, you can do it faster than I can. But okay, but my point is though, and then okay, let's say so. Ukraine. Oh, 54.
In the 50s, they gave it up, and that's why they took it back.
Soviet Ukraine, yeah.
Yeah, so
yeah, after 2014, here we go. That's what it was.
Yeah, that's when they took over.
Okay.
After the Ukrainian
I knew that was
Revolution,
it.
Russian
Okay.
troops were deployed to occupy Crimea.
Okay.
They might have invaded earlier, but I don't know that they invaded earlier than that. But
Anyways, my point is that okay, so if Ukraine takes Crimea,
But it is like internationally they recognize Crimea as a part of Ukraine.
right. So if Ukraine takes Crimea back, right, and they thwart the Russian aggression,
They push it back.
they push them back. So do they stop or they move into Russia proper and start?
Who the hell knows?
That's what I'm saying. And then do Western countries all step in
Because
and
they've
say,
been
"No,
firing
enough."
missiles into Russian territory.
And that's what I'm saying. Like this
Yeah.
becomes, it goes from a defense.
Zelensky keeps like advocating and posturing for a world war.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. So like if you're taking somebody, like it would be understandable if they said we just want to take Crimea and then that's it, and we're gonna, like, so for example, Jerusalem, right? They have the wherewithal and the might to just go ahead and take the Gaza and take all of that shit back. They can just walk in there basically and fucking obliterate if they want. They have the weapons, the capability to do that. They don't. They spend their efforts to thwart the terrorist activities of Hamas and that on their capital, on their territory. So why wouldn't you say that that's the way you have to do it? If you're Ukraine, okay, we take Crimea, and now we say, okay, that's it. We're going to set our boundary. We're not going into Russia proper.
Yeah.
But it's like the push is to go into Russia.
Yeah.
So where does it end? So now we're going to have, instead of Russia being in control of Russian territory, we're going to have Ukraine being in control. So you're all you're doing is taking one dictator and replacing with another.
Yeah.
What we like this dictator.
Yeah,
this guy's okay.
Yeah. That's how it works usually.
It's like,
that's a regime change.
Get the fuck out of here. That's not how it's supposed to work. You're not supposed. You can't take the moral high ground and say we're just going to go in there and help this dictator now do this because we didn't like what that one did. That's not how it's supposed to work. That's more of a bitter, petty human response.
Yeah.
But then stay the fuck out of all of it then.
Yeah.
Like it's weird to me. So you're just,
seems like that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to kickstart a global conflict of some kind. Fight it in that area.
Yeah.
War is usually good for business.
Yeah. It's I don't that's what I mean. Nobody's saying, hey, this is what the end result is. You just hear bullshit like not until, like, when Biden was saying about Putin being out of power, essentially, or like until he's done.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you're saying the quiet bits out loud, bud.
Yeah.
And then you walk it back after and say, "Oh no, I didn't say that. I didn't mean that." Pretty sure you did. But then realize that, oh shit, can't say that because now I'm pushing the tiger to bite now. Like Russia has capabilities.
Yeah.
Like they could be using more capabilities. And is that better for, say, China now that their neighbor is run by a U.S. puppet?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, right. So China be like, all right, okay, let's let them squabble it out. Let's let them punch each other tired. But the minute Ukraine starts to get a real big upper hand, is China going to say, all right, fuck this. We're in now.
Yeah.
Tag, we're in. The U.S. has been backing up. Okay, here you go, Russia. Here's our might. Well, here we're going to help out Russia now. And now if it wasn't a world war before, it's a fucking world war now.
Yeah.
When you add,
many countries are getting involved, like
Yeah.
the biggest militaries.
yeah, if you have the two superpowers
Yeah.
backing both, they might as well be fighting.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
They're
mean?
just gonna move in,
Like it's this kind of bullshit's been happening everywhere since World War II. It's like North and South Korea was the same sort of thing. One being backed by communism, one being backed by, Western democracy.
Yeah, it's a wild fucking situation.
Yeah.
There's no telling.
Yeah.
Absolutely no telling.
So I don't know where it's going, but
It doesn't look good.
yeah,
Wherever it goes, it's setting a weird precedent about like what's acceptable.
yeah, and we start giving them like this kind of machinery. It's unless this is these Abram tanks and these what are the other ones, the Leopard 2s.
The Leopard, yeah.
Unless they're maybe like the last year's model. Well,
Well, even then, I don't know.
what I'm
They're
saying though
fucking
is
good.
maybe they're not all that strong anymore comparatively to
Right.
the shit that they have. So they're like, oh yeah, give them some of those. That's fine. It's
Yeah.
like giving someone an iPhone 5 at this point. You're like, oh, give an iPhone 5. It can do some things, but we got the iPhone 15 out now, or whatever the fuck is out now. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
so maybe it's that. I don't know, but it's not good.
No.
It's yeah. I'm not scared yet, but
No, I'm not scared. It's just,
But it's unsettling.
concerning development.
Yeah, it's unsettling for
See
sure.
what's going on.
I was hoping this shit would kind of end.
Just blow over.
Yeah,
Or
I want to see I'll say a regime change of the West and see if
yeah.
maybe some
Well, Trump keeps coming out and saying that there needs to be negotiations.
right, and he would be the guy.
Yeah.
We already know that guy can fucking negotiate.
Yeah.
Like
He
the
would
only
be
president,
brokering a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia
Yeah.
in like no time.
the only president in our time that was good at that, at
Yeah.
least. And anybody who doesn't say that he was at the very least good at negotiating peace treaties or deals and stuff, they're wrong. Yeah, they're just putting their hatred in front of the facts.
Yeah.
And the guy wasn't. He's not a warmonger type president, and so I think someone like him. I think DeSantis would be amazing at that too. To be honest, I think.
Yeah, he might be.
I think he might even be better. I mean, who knows?
Time will tell.
I know,
We'll see.
because I think he's going to be our next. He's going to be the next president.
Good chance.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. All right, well, let's end on a funny note. So the World Economic Forum has been in whatever you want to in session, I guess, for the last week or so. Are they out of session now? I think they're
It's
finished.
like Davos or
Yeah, Davos. I think they're finished now, right?
I don't know the timeline.
They do this. It's almost like a fucking Olympics bullshit they do over there. They're like, oh, we got these days of this and this. It's like this big fucking, if you know about the World Economic Forum, it's this big multi-day bullshit that goes on. But actually, it probably is finished because I think this was like one of the closing things that we're about to play. So let's just let this funny video speak for itself. This is about as indicative of what that the WEF represents as anything, I think.
Yeah.
So
this is the World Economic Forum. Just a performance at Davos. Don't know if it's a closing or not, but maybe.
I think it is because I think he says.
Time to check in with our lizard overlords in Davos, Switzerland. What are they up to? Well, this.
It's so bad.
Thank you for watching. Yeah, those people run the world. They're so impressive.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
That's weird.
When I watched that, fuck man, I laughed.
That's very weird.
That's hilarious. I love her face too when she's doing it
Like,
too.
why are they doing that? She's very serious about it.
Yeah,
She's very clearly very much.
she's working on that, man. That's her thing. That's her shtick.
Yeah. Why? Who the fuck knows?
I think that started as a busking type thing. I don't think she was like doing that on the
I
street.
think she's just bad at playing instruments, and
No, one day she's out busking, as you do, and she's got
Yeah.
her actual fucking flute, and she's like,
Yeah, she's doing
she's
proper
playing it, and
flute.
some guy runs past her, yoinks the flute out of her hand,
So
and
she
she's
just
like,
kept going.
and people are like,
So,
hey, that's good, and they're giving her money, and she's like,
All right.
fuck this, I'll just keep going, I guess. Now we're taking requests. Do that same song again. All right. Hilarious.
It's so weird.
Yeah, that whole fucking thing is weird.
The whole World Economic Forum as an institute is fucking weird. It's
Well, they had Brian
weird people
Stelter.
and
They had Brian fucking
What?
Stelter.
Why?
Exactly.
Well, probably because he runs lip service for them in exchange for being invited.
That guy is so off-putting.
Yeah.
Like, you just look at him. He just looks like a fucking... He's just off. I don't
Yeah.
know how to explain it. He's just off. When he talks, he's
Yeah.
off. Everything about him. He's not charismatic. He's nothing. He's like... He's forgettable.
Mhm.
And this guy was on TV, and he was just spouting whatever CNN would put in front of his face. And now I guess they
Reading
went,
off
hey,
the teleprompter.
yeah, I guess, hey, let's get this little fucking puppet over here, and he'll say whatever we want him to say. He was talking about misinformation and
Yeah. Ironic.
yeah, very ironic. But all right,
Yeah,
Well, that was a fun thing to end it on, at least.
that was a good, fun little thing.
World War III, and then laughing about.
It's this lady who's going to be involved in World War III.
Yeah. Well, after World War III, there probably won't be flutes left.
That's true.
So everyone's going to have to learn
Or
to play like
it
that.
will be fought with flutes.
Maybe.
That's a possibility.
You play the recorder in school?
I did not.
You didn't?
I think we had like one lesson
You're lucky parents.
at one point.
Because I was one of the kids that had to bring it home and fucking learn how
Just
to
to
play
practice
that stupid
it.
thing. Yeah. So you had to hear.
Jesus.
Yeah. So that's what that's
That's
like.
not fun.
Yeah. So it might be a little bit better than that.
We had harmonicas one year, and I took mine apart.
Yeah.
I turned it into an airplane. That's what I did.
Well, it probably sounded better.
It did, yeah, for sure.
Your parents were happier.
Probably.
Like, go ahead, throw it against the drywall, buddy.
Yeah.
So you don't have to hear anything.
Yep.
All right. Well, we'll wrap it up there. Yeah. So, like us, share us if you like the show, and if you watch it, if you watch our clips that Tyler hasn't been making lately, he will though. He's gonna get back to it. He needs your pressure. You need to comment and apply pressure that you'd like to see some shorts and some smaller video clips, and then he'll
peer pressure.
He'll get to work at that. But and subscribe, and then you can get notifications that we're live, because sometimes we're live at 7.
Try to keep it consistent, but
probably
things happen.
Yeah, most times we'll be at 8 o'clock on Fridays. If we change the day, then we'll let you know. But otherwise, we'll see you next week for some more fun.
Hopefully, better, lighter news. We'll see.
Yeah,
let's see what happens. Anything can happen in a week.
Maybe we'll talk about DMT and stuff, because you love talking about that.
We'll see.
All right, bye everybody.